Captain's log, stardate 1312.9.
The Top Speed Pro 1 Muffler Delete Kit was fun. For about 10 minutes. The moment I get on it, I feel my ears vibrating. As soon as I get on the gas, my ears are. But I'm certainly hearing more exhaust than I am engine, if that makes any sense to anybody. But then, well, we're going Italian now. Look, 2B is now fitted to my beloved Silver Dream machine. And despite being an OEM plus kind of guy, this was, I'm afraid, just OEM for me. I have to say, it's not bad at all. It's as good as the Porsche product. In fact, better. It's better than the Porsche product, but the difference is subtle. And so, friends, the search goes on. Well, look what we've got fitted now. Fabspeed mufflers. Now, this is going to be a two-stager, actually. This particular one, we've just gone with the mufflers and not the cross pipes and the cats, as you can see here behind me. But the next stage is fitting those the cross pipe and the cats, and we'll see what effect that has. So, cold start with Fabspeed mufflers. Let's see what that sounds like. Okay, Fabspeed mufflers, no X-pipe, no cats, just the mufflers on here. Let's start to see what this sounds like. Sounds similar to standard, I would say, but let's go. So worth mentioning before we give it the beans, that this is the Max Flow version of the Fabspeed mufflers, not the Super Cup. The Super Cup is louder, so this is, if I turn the air conditioning off, the Max Flow version. So let's get round this corner. I think we'll be able to give it some power, a little bit more power. So not a lot different to standard, quite quiet actually. Just that's my initial impression. We've got a car in front of us, let's let him get ahead. Very quiet in here. Anyway, let's give it a bit of revs. That sounds remarkably similar to standard to me. By the way, in all of this, I'm not feeling very much of a power increase in any of the exhausts, if I'm really honest. So if your aim is just to swap out your mufflers and get more power, I think you'll be a little bit disappointed. It's not really worth the effort of going to do that. Maybe there's a bit more of a kick in the back, certainly with the muffler delete, maybe there was a bit there. But these other ones not so much. So let's turn around, go back and just go up the rev range a bit more slowly and hear the sound. 3,000, 4, 5, 6. It's a nice sound, I have to say. It is remarkably similar to the standard exhaust, I think. I'd be very interested to hear what it sounds like outside, but also when we put that X-pipe and 200 cell cats on, I think that will be interesting too. Again, I think of the two, for my needs, I would probably choose the 2B over this. 2B had that nice growl between 3,000 and 4,000 revs. This is again very similar to standard. But let's go back, and this time we will give it the beans. This is it at standstill. Just like normal, you can easily hold a conversation in this car. Here we go. There is a growl to it at the high notes. Once you get above 5,000, you can hear it growling out the back of the car. Similar to the standard exhaust, but there is just a bit more of a growl right at the high end. I think with the 2B, the growl is lower down in the rev range, which might be a bit more satisfying for those of us that use our cars as daily drivers. Otherwise, it's very well built, I have to say. Having looked at the craftsmanship that's gone into producing the Fabspeed stuff, very impressive. The welds are neat and tidy. They, again, like the 2B, which I was particularly impressed with, I think you'd feel that they would go on forever and ever, which is a good thing. You know, this is probably a decision that you take once, and you don't want to have to keep doing it. And the aim of this video is really to help you with that.
Alright, so now we put the Fabspeed X-pipe, this is a sport pipe, and the Fabspeed MaxFlow mufflers on. So the X-pipe removes the crossover pipe, as we showed you before. The 800 cell cats are replaced with these high quality HJS 200 cell cat. Now these don't throw a check engine light. The best cats in the business in terms of performance and sound. This X-pipe actually helps exhaust flow as well, making power, so you'll get a little bit more tone, a little more aggressive of a sound. Just by doing this, you'll also add about 12 to 15 horsepower. And Fabspeed makes all this in the US, lifetime warranty as well, which is a nice value. And after we get sounds of this, we'll be installing the Cargraphic valve muffler. This is the only valve muffler we'll be installing in this series. This has a valve right here that is controlled. And essentially what it does is it bypasses some of the baffling and packing in the muffler for a little more straight through sound. So it's going to give you a very dynamic range with the valves closed, more quiet OEM-like sound, and then a very aggressive sound with it open. And the way this actuates is through a solenoid and an electronic actuator. So this just powers up. These remote controls go through the antenna to basically give it a open or closed demand. And then this just hooks up to a vacuum source from the engine, and it uses that pressure to mechanically open and close the valves and the mufflers. So excited to check out both of these different arrangements, so stay tuned.
Right, phase 2 of the Fabspeed setup. We've got the 200 cell crosspipe installed now. Let's see what difference that makes on a cold start. I'm hearing some difference already. This is the one I feared I might like because it's the expensive one. But we'll see what it's like out on the road. Let's give that a shot. Okay, we are coming up to our favourite bit of straight road. Let's see what this sounds like. It's very docile when you're just driving it around, which I like, being OEM Plus, remember? So let's see what this sounds like as we go up the rev range again. Oh yeah, there's a boom there. Boost in performance as well, actually. It feels more torquey, actually, if anything. A bit more of a kick in the back. Quite a nice polished sound, I think. Not throaty on the first pass, at least. Let's see what the second one brings, if I get some other impressions. But that's quite a nice sound, I have to say. A bit more noisy than the other ones that we've tested, the Tubi and Fabspeed by itself. So let's give it another shot. I'll tell you what we'll do, we'll floor it now. It just carries a bit more noise, actually, which I quite like. Throughout the rev range, the other exhausts have been notable by how you can tell the change in tone of the exhaust as the rev range goes up. This seems to stay fairly level. It's more noisy, but only when you get it above, I would say, 3,000. But the tone stays more or less the same, I would say, as we go up the rev range. There's more noise, which is nice. It'll be interesting, again, I say this in every time we do this, it'll be interesting to see what it sounds like on the outside. And whether the tone is different on the outside as you go up. But we'll see that in a minute. Again, very livable. You could use this all day, every day. You could use it on a long journey. Let us get up to highway speeds now and just sit at that for a bit. We'll get up there fairly quickly. So this is 55. I think you can hear my voice pretty clearly. There's a bit more of a drone. I wouldn't call it a drone, there's a bit more noise present in the cabin that I can detect from a standard exhaust, but by no means is it offensive. It's not at all. You could live with this easily, I think. Yeah, this is impressive because there's just a little bit more performance in this as well. This is, of course, also the lightest of them all, apart from the muffler delete, of course, as well. And this is also the most expensive, so you are paying for some very high quality equipment here. It's a pretty nice sound, I have to say. Right, here's our full flyaway takeoff. Waiting for my director to give me the thumbs up. Here we go. I like this one. This one's good. It's just like the standard exhaust turned up to 11. That's how I would describe it. It's not raspy. It just is the standard exhaust, maybe a bit less raspy, if anything, than the standard exhaust, but just turned up to 11 on the volume. This is much better than just doing the max flow mufflers by themselves, which I don't think achieved a lot, if I'm really honest, over the standard. Maybe if I'd be inclined to try the Super Cup next time of the Fabspeed choice, if I was just doing mufflers. But this adds a little bit more performance, and you can feel it a little bit. It's not an astonishing increase in power, but it's a bit. So really looking forward to the outside view. So let's get to that right now. Chris from Flat 6 Motorsports took off the Fabspeed mufflers and cats, I realised I was in trouble. This was, in fact, the nicest exhaust of the ones I'd tried so far, but it was also the most expensive. Almost 20% of the original purchase price of the car expensive. So I had great hopes for the Cargraphic valved exhaust that came next. So the Cargraphic mufflers, valved mufflers, are on, as you can see. Now these ones took quite some fitting. Each car is different when you put valved exhausts on, and you've got to find a power source, you've got to find a vacuum source, and they probably, I guess, took about 3 hours to put on. So not quite so straightforward as just swapping out a muffler. But we got there in the end, and I'm really anxious to see what this sounds like. So let's do that. Okay, the moment has come for the Cargraphic valved muffler. Let's see what this is like. I'm privately hoping that this is going to be good, because the Fabspeed I really quite liked. It was very polished, gave you something there, I think, for your money, both in terms of sound and power. So I'm hoping this will give me the best of both worlds. But let's see. Let's start it up and see how we go. Well, so far that just sounds like a standard one. Now this one comes with two key fobs, or fobs I should say. Hold up to the camera. This is on quiet mode at the moment, but if I go into loud mode, it's very subtle. You can't even really hear it, I would say. So let's just see what it's like. We'll start off in quiet, see how we get on. Let's turn the air conditioning off so we can hear it. Off we go. In quiet mode, so far I would probably say it's very similar to the standard Porsche exhaust. That's not much of a test. Let's give it a longer run. Okay, there's our standard position where we turn left to go on our nice long straight, and let's see what this sounds like in quiet mode. Similar, if not the same as standard. Maybe there's a little bit more throatiness to it that you could detect, but it's very similar, very quiet or polished, and you know, OEM feeling when it's quiet. I think what we'll do is just go around and do that again, just to make sure you guys can hear this well. like that in quiet mode, that's OEM, pretty much OEM with a slightly better character to it. Just a little bit of a tone in there to know, just to let you know that you bought something. You haven't just spent your money on a standard exhaust. So I'll tell you what we'll do next. We will flip ourselves into loud mode. So that is going on now. I think I put that into off, right? There we are. So now we're in loud mode. Oh, it's a bit noisier. That's got much of a richer, throatier sound now. Much throatier. And I'm smiling because that's exactly what I was after. Let's go round again and just check. In fact, we might just do a bit of a kick down when we go down there and give it some of the beans. Let's just let that truck go ahead a bit, and then we can go up and down it, but we're still in loud mode. That's got some noise to it. That has got some noise to it. And some throatiness. And there's no drone either. So what we'll do on our next run is, on loud mode, we will get it up to 55 and just stick there for a bit. You can hear it though, right? You can hear it. I've got a truck in front of me, which means I can't get on the gas, but we'll do another run, and you can hear it when you give it the gas from about 2,000 up, I would say. The exhaust makes itself felt and makes itself known. I'm feeling a little bit of extra power in this one as well than I have done with maybe some of the other ones. Obviously we felt that with the Fabspeed cross pipe and mufflers, because that's the sort of combo where you're going to extract the most amount of power. Right, Mr. Truck has got out of our way. Swing round again, a bit of an incline here. There we are. Okay. Now this time we'll go relatively quickly up to 55, and then we'll sit there. Noise. So that's 55. Even this is pretty easy to speak at. So I think what we're finding is the noise really comes on when you are above 5,000, I think. We'll give it one more go. Just turn round and we'll just listen to what it sounds like above 5,000 revs. So I think that's where the real character of loud mode might come into it, which again would suit me very well. I don't spend a lot of time up there, but when I do want to have fun, I want it to sound good. So let's go. You can really hear it out the back above 4,000 or 5,000 revs, something like that. 4 upwards, I would say. It makes itself known. This is really good, and certainly when we were doing our practice sounds back in the shop, this was popping as well and crackling, and so again, standard comment applies. I wonder what this sounds like when we get it, get the camera out of the car. Let's do that right now. returned to the shop, it was time to take some decisions, and the team gathered round to help me make up my mind. All right, so I guess it's decision time, folks, right? You know, we've had a great couple of days, so thank you for that 6 Motorsports.
Great meeting you, Jay.
Yeah,
Seriously.
you too, and I appreciate it, Chris. Chris, by the way, has been doing all the really hard work of fitting the exhausts, and we've had him outside sweating in the sun, taking all the exterior video as well. So don't let John and I fool you that we've done any of the work, because we really haven't. But there we are. So look, it's been a great couple of days. Now is the time where we have to make a decision. And I have a very clear idea about what I'm going to do here. But before I reveal that, let's just talk about what we've done and form our impressions from people that have heard it in the cabin, from the quality perspective that you know, trading in these things all the time, and from hearing it outside and fitting them. I think there's some interesting perspectives there. I've got my notes just to refer to. So we started off with the top speed muffler delete. And that, I think, doesn't cater for everyone. John, you said something funny in that it doesn't pass the hangover test, so that, you know, if you're waking up on a Sunday morning having had rather too much to drink the night before, maybe that's not something that you want to get into. Don't you agree? It's sort of,
Right,
it's something, it caters for a smaller audience, right?
Yeah, it's gonna kind of rattle your brain around a little bit. It's very loud, but it's that exhaust, if you want something, you know, inexpensive that is gonna deliver 10/10 in terms of max sound, it's a great option, and some guys track with it as well just because of the substantial weight savings.
Yeah, I mean, actually, it turns out that the muffler delete is, unsurprisingly, I suppose, the greatest weight savings at nearly £24. Comes in at a bargain basement $349, and probably from the outside, Chris, sounds off the scale.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty noisy.
Throaty.
I'd say when you get the system, you're either gonna love it or you're gonna hate it. Honestly, if you wanted something that's loud, it's loud. If you wanted a budget exhaust system, this is not an exhaust system. This is an exhaust bypass. So realistically, if you have any sort of, you know, preference towards away from something that's too loud, it's going to be too loud for you, and it's going to drone inside the car too.
And it really
the wife
does.
is going to complain.
Yeah, well, yes, let's not go there, but she complains a lot anyway. But there we are. No, I'm kidding. I'm joking, just in case you're watching. But the thing about taking these films is I've done my best inside the car to really describe to folks, you know, the change from standard, from OEM. But it's really outside the car that you really notice a lot of these differences. Inside the car, maybe not so much on some of the ones that we've tested, but certainly the muffler delete is the one where you know instantly when you start the car from the inside with the windows up that you've not got any mufflers on your car.
It's the drone.
Then we went to the tubey style mufflers. Now I quite liked these. These are high up my list. And the reason I like them is because lower down the rev range, you can hear a richness of sound. There's a different sound to OEM between 2,000 and 4,000 revs, as well as above sort of 4.5 and 5 as well. But really, when you're driving it day to day, you would hear it. You would hear it very, very well. And they're really well made as well, aren't they, John? I mean, you can see the welds on those. This is a company that's been around a while, right?
They have been, and, you know, great craftsmanship. They're kind of have the Italian flair to them, but just overall a really, really nice product.
Yeah, and sounded nice on the outside as well, right?
Yeah. So I feel like it retained some of that like factory rasp that you get from these engines, and it was maybe like slightly louder than the factory system. Yeah. So, you know, maybe if you had like you know, rusted out mufflers you want to get rid of, or you want a similar to OEM sound but you want the weight savings, I'd say that the
It's a pretty good option. Yeah, I was quite impressed with that. And that comes in at $1,920 and provides nearly a £16 weight saving. So, you know, you're not saving a terrific amount of weight with any of these options really, but there's every little counts, right? And to the extent you do more, you know, across the car, then you can obviously save a bit of weight.
And one thing to point out with the weight savings on any of these exhaust systems is it's weight coming off the back of the car, so it actually helps shift some of that weight balance forward. So you're getting a benefit, well, it's a pretty incremental small benefit of weight savings. It's also taking it off of the very back of the car, which helps with the overall balance of the car.
The balance of the car, yeah, very, very good point, yeah. Then we went to the Fabspeed Max Flow mufflers by themselves, and for me, I was really impressed with the way they looked, and certainly when we put the crosspipe on, which I'll get to in a minute, the whole package just looked really sweet, and you kind of wish that the back bumper didn't exist. I mean, that's a crazy thing to say because, you know, the rest of it is so ugly, but the exhaust bit looked really good. But the Fabspeed Max Flow mufflers by themselves, I felt, just my own opinion, that it didn't add an awful lot over the OEM standard package. So again, if you want a great, well-made, you know, muffler set, I think you could do very well by getting them. But in terms of changing the sound a lot, unless it from the outside it sounded any different.
The volume was similar to factory, so, you know, in terms of just straight volume, similar. But for me, what I noticed was the lack of raps. It kind of like smoothed out the exhaust tone, so it didn't have as much rasp, and it was kind of more of a consistent noise.
And I felt that inside actually. That's a really good way of putting it. And maybe this is the polished one, you know, the smooth one that you want. I mean, Max Flow, right? It's not the Super Cup. The Super Cup is the more noisy, if you like, and sporting, shall we say, muffler set that you could buy if you wanted a bit louder. But that wasn't my objective here. I knew I'm a sort of an OEM plus guy. I like to keep my car similar to standard because I think there's a lot of things that Porsche got right. And I don't think I wanted to change them too much. Plus, it's my daily driver, and you know, to sit with something too loud. So, and I bet you sell a lot of Fabspeed stuff as well, John, right? Because again, the quality, I would say, way up there with 2B, if not even higher. It was just the welds and the feeling of it and the look of it. Good quality stuff, right?
Yeah, all high quality stainless steel, made in the U.S. They also back with the lifetime warranty, which is, you know, a nice value. And yeah, just overall, you know, one of the more popular exhausts we sell across the board.
Yeah, and I think also it gives you, I mean, let's just talk about the price actually, $1,895, so $35 cheaper than the 2B. You get a little bit less of weight saving with those at 11.6 pounds. So something to think about, a similar option to the 2B, maybe a bit more polished, but no less greater quality. I think that would be maybe a good way of expressing that. Then we went the whole hog with Fabspeed, didn't we? We put the Fabspeed Sport 200 cell cross pipe on at the same time. Yeah. And then when you put all those together, that just looked fabulous. And even changed colour, right, Chris? When we got some heat into it and brought it back, it changed colour. Not that that's really important because you're never going to see that once you've got it on your car. But I noticed a little bit of extra power when we did that. All of this is a bit of a muchness in terms of power. Maybe in all of these you're gaining 10 or between 5 and maybe at the most optimistic, I guess 15 horsepower. John, would you say is a reasonable?
Yep.
You don't really notice it unless you spent a lot of time in a 996 as I have. And I noticed it a bit with the muffler delete. I noticed it a bit more actually, I think, with the Fabspeed stuff and the Cargraphic as well, which we'll get to in a moment. But again, the sound and the power, the sound changed on the outside, Chris, right? When we did that with the X.
Yeah. So like those high flow cats definitely give you more volume out of that max flow. So again, it to me, it sounded like a pretty smooth tone. But adding those 200 cell cats, I mean, it's something you could do in stages maybe. Maybe you do the mufflers and maybe you do the X pipe later. Yeah,
and I might well do. I'm one of these people that just likes to sort of see what he's got, and then we can sort of change it as we go. And plus, you know, these things are not cheap. You get very high quality, I have to say, and they're probably good value. I'm not saying they're not good value, but if we bear in mind the Max Flow mufflers were $1,895. The 200 cell cross pipe was another $2,595. So it's a lot to spend in one sitting. So, but they also saved us another £12 actually. So there's another balancing factor on the weight that will help us do it.
Yeah.
Now, then we go to the Cargraphic valved mufflers, which we've just finished doing as we film. This was the one I was hoping I would like, as opposed to the Fabspeed ones are the ones I was hoping I wouldn't like, because they are a bit more expensive, right? And I was sort of doing man math, thinking afterwards, how do I get into that? If I sold a kidney and maybe a child, I could probably get into that. But the Cargraphic one was the one I wanted to like, because I think, at $2,520, a bit more expensive than the 2B and the Fabspeed mufflers, you get something which is the best of both worlds, John. Would you say? I mean, there's hooligan mode. You can turn it on or you can switch it off.
And that's one of the benefits of a valved exhaust system is it gives you, big range of sound. So with the valves closed, similar to OEM, with them open, it's a very aggressive tone. So, you know, it's obviously an incremental cost, but you know, probably a
Not
good
much
value.
though, right? Only a little bit.
Kind of
more.
getting too exhaust in one, I guess.
You are really, and that's what we found, Chris, when we got it out on the road, right?
Yeah.
We did our usual tests of you know, blasting up and down the road here, and when I was driving it in standard mode, in the cabin at least, and these things are a little bit difficult to detect in the cabin, it seemed just like OEM.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, great, so that's one half of the equation that they've delivered on, because I didn't want it to be any different to standard. But then when I clicked the loud button, you know, the hooligan mode, and certainly when we were testing it in here, we were all laughing because it was really quite something.
Awesome
It
sound.
really was awesome here in the shop. But on the road, from an exterior perspective, with the loud mode on, what was that like?
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean,
It's nuts.
I don't, you know, I don't want to say GT3 sounds, but GT3 sounds realistically. To me, you know, it's a really crisp with those valves open.
Yeah.
It's got the rasp there. The volume is maybe just shy of that bypass. I mean, it's hard to say.
Yeah, I'd say it's a bit lower in the cabin. I mean, maybe it's the vibrations or something, or maybe it's that the full volume is, the volume increases as the revs go up, whereas the muffler delete just seemed to be always loud.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But you know, I was really pleased. So you've got the best of both worlds, and I'm very pleased to say that the Cargraphic is our winner. That is what is fitted to the car right now. That is what I'm taking home, because it delivers on exactly what I wanted it to deliver on. OEM, when you know maybe my wife's in the car. And then hooligan mode when I'm driving around with my friends on a Sunday morning, going to Cars and Coffee.
Yeah.
You know, I get a bit of respect in my Tiptronic Carrera, which is always nice in a Tiptronic Carrera, right?
Yeah.
So really pleased about that. The Cargraphic 2520 delivers a £10 weight saving, but delivers a lot of value, I think. And I think that's how I would leave it, John. That the value that you get is probably the most of all of them, really, because you get the best of both worlds, right?
Sure, yeah. I mean, it's kind of one of the things you get with a valve system is just that, you know, on-off switch, and you know, you don't have much of a penalty in terms of the incremental cost, and then also the weight. It's you know, just a couple pounds heavier than the other muffler system, so you're not. You know, there's more complexity to the exhaust system. You know, the valves themselves that weigh, so it's nice that you're not, you know, getting a penalty if you're, you know, spending money to have a lighter weight system. You still get weight savings.
Yeah.
Well, it only leaves it for me to say thank you to John and to Chris and the team here at Flat 6, who could not have delivered more than they have. They've been helpful and friendly and charming, and we've worked together as a team, and I think that says a lot about a company. Plus, you can get all these products that we've tested here from these guys here at Flat 6 Motorsports. So take a look at their website. John, remind me, what is the website address?
It's flat6motorsports.com.
There we go. And obviously don't forget to like and subscribe. That's the standard YouTube ending to all videos, I think, isn't it? So like and subscribe. We hope this has been useful for you. Please get in touch with us in the comments below and let us know if you've got any questions. We'd be very happy to answer them for you. But otherwise, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Now under 2.5 minutes.
Wow.
That crew there can be seen on the right-hand side of your screen.
Wow.
Buckled in and ready to go.